Hello and welcome to a new episode of We Are the World Games. My name is Philipp Döring and our guest today is truly one of the greatest athletes of his sport. He has won 4 World Championships, 5 European Championships and 5 World Cups. And in the all-time medal count of the World Games, he is currently ranked number 18 with 4 gold medals, 1 silver and 1 bronze. Hello, Matthias Kyburz from Switzerland.
Hello. Hi, Philip. Nice to meet you.
Nice to have you here today. And Matthias, orienteering is a sport that maybe not everyone in our audience knows so well. So could you just explain in a few words what is orienteering and how does it work?
Oh, in a few words. Orienteering is a sport. It's navigation with a map, and you have to find certain checkpoints in the forest, which we call controls. And so at the start of each race, you get the map with this certain control locations. This can be either in a city or in forests. And your goal is to find the best possible route between these checkpoints. And in these route choices, you're free. So either if you want to climb up a hill or you want to do a detour around. So it's up to you. And the goal is to be as fast as possible over such a course. And the nice thing, is you can practice it everywhere. So you can practice it in cities, you can practice it in forests. And that's why it's such a popular sport for me.
So we will get later to what disciplines will be are usually done in the city and in the forest. But I was surprised when I read that in Switzerland, it's actually not such a small sport. So in 2003, I think it even made it into the Guinness Book of Records when over 200,000 pupils from all over the country participated in a simultaneous event. So actually in Switzerland, I think most people know what orienteering is. Is that right?
Yes, I think that's true. And you even named the start point, I guess, why everybody knows it. It was in 2003. There was World Championships in Switzerland. And one thing was this project you mentioned with a lot of school kids, which were introduced to orienteering. But the other thing is a big name in orienteering. It's Simone Nickli, one of the greatest athletes of all time in orienteering, and she won 4 gold medals back then in 2003. And so the sport became really popular, but it also got a bit connected with Simone Nickli at that time. So in Switzerland, if you'd said orienteering, then everybody was coming and said, this is this girl Nickli. But of course, it's nice that in Switzerland it's a nice recognized sport, and I think it's not like that in many countries of the world.
So was this also a starting point for you to go into orienteering, or have you been doing orienteering already before?
Yeah, in fact, not much before. For me, I started with orienteering like many others as well. It's a traditional family sport. So my orienteering were partly doing orienteering, but we were not like a real orienteering family, I would say. So still I got a bit interested in the sport. And my first real orienteering season was really in 2003. So I just profited probably from the boost and from this media echo. And I was eager, of course, to see these big names. And this was for sure motivating. But I think it was more pure coincidence than that I started because of these World Championships, for example.
You mentioned that it is kind of a family thing. So your wife is also an orienteering athlete, but also your older brother, and also quite successful. He was also in the national team. Is that right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, it became in our family, or me and my older brother. We were doing it at elite level. He also won once a world championship medal, and also my wife. I got to know her at orienteering. So I think this is so nice about orienteering because everybody can practice it. And normally elite events, they're also linked to public events. So if we have competition in Switzerland, that means like the 10-year-old small boy is running and the 80-year-old grandma all together, even the elite athletes on the same map on the same day. So I think it's that's why we call orienteering family.
So I would say let's watch a short video with a few clips from the last 2 editions of the World Games. Okay, so we see a few clips. The first are from the World Games 2013 in Cali. Afterwards, they are from 2017 in Wrocław. And the conditions in these 2 editions were very different. So we see here it was very hot and dry, and in Wrocław it was very rainy and even a storm in one day. How do you recall these 2 editions of the World Games and the competitions?
Yeah, when we start here with the picture from Cali, it was really special for us because orienteering, I would say, in Colombia is really not a big thing. So it was really exotic somehow for us, the whole competitions. So we had basically no clue what to expect. Normally, if we prepare for competition, we maybe have some old maps. We exactly knew what's awaiting us. And in Cali, it was really special with the temperature, with the maps, with everything. So it was really exotic, but really cool. And the people and the atmosphere, it was really amazing. I have really good memories from it. Yeah, compared to Wrocław, I would say it was more the traditional orienteering country. It was in Poland. So the competition itself, maps, courses were of really high standard. I really liked the competition standard in Wrocław. But as you mentioned, it was just from the atmosphere, it was completely different. In Cali, the spectators, they were really cheering. There was an amazing crowd. They were so it was so cool to be there. And Wrocław, I remember it more as cool competition, interesting competition, but the whole atmosphere was really different compared to Cali.
And how was it for you? Would you say this is an amazing experience with athletes from very different sports from all over the world?
Also, I like it very much, to be honest, in these multi-sports events. Of course, even in these multi-sports events, you're kind of in a bubble with your sports. But I think it's super nice to meet other sportmen and to also go watching different sports. It's what I really like and what I'm a bit missing sometimes. If you're focusing really on orienteering, because even there, it's just basically you're alone in the hotel. You're not even there with other teams. So it's really focused. And on the World Games, it's one big family, like the orienteering part, even though, of course, you're ambitious and you're eager to beat the others the next day. But it's cool to somehow still eat breakfast together and discuss about the sports and general things in life.
We just saw a little clip from the sprint discipline. The sprint discipline is usually run inside a city, where the longer distances are usually in the forest, in the woods. So in the city, it might be the most spectacular for the audience. But what do you prefer? Where do you prefer to run?
Yeah, basically, I started orienteering because I have to be out in the woods, in the nature. I think these are also the terrain which are most nice, or how should I describe it? Yeah, where you could enjoy the landscape the most. But still, the most thrilling events, I think, they're in the cities. And it's really a different characteristic also from the competition style. The sprint is really about fast decision, high running speed, while the forest distances, it's more about having a good orienteering technique. So I always make this comparison. A normal runner, he can make the world champs course in a city. Maybe he has 10 minutes longer than me, but probably he couldn't run a whole long distance. He would never come out of the woods again. So they're really different characteristics.
Yeah, that's interesting what you say. And that would be my next question. How would you rate or rank how much is athletic skill and how much is navigation in orienteering?
Yeah, of course we say it's about 50-50, like orienteering and running. Yeah, but the basis is that you have to be physically strong. Otherwise, you couldn't make it to the top. But of course, if you're not that strong in navigating, then yeah, it's also difficult to get to really top. There are the differences between forest and sprint. So there are some runners which are really strong in sprint disciplines, but they can't navigate that well in the forest. This is one way I would say is specialization, and the other way is probably that you're a good navigator. You're really strong physically, but maybe you're not the fastest somehow, because in the terrain you need a lot of force, you need strength, and maybe not the top speed. And so the other different type of runner is more that he's navigating well, but he has not the top speed to be on top in sprint. So these are a bit these characteristics.
And of course, my next question is, where do you see yourself, more on the runner side or on the navigating side?
Yeah, for sure. One of my strengths is the running, also the physics. That's probably also why I had the most success in sprint disciplines, especially in the beginning of my career. But I think I gradually increased in the technical and also in the physical part for the forest. So I'm still one of the few runners which are able to be on top in sprint and in the forest disciplines. So yeah, I think this is one of the main issues why I could also win 5 times the overall World Cup, because their sprint and forest races are counting, and there are not too many athletes which are on top in both disciplines.
And I must say, that's something that impressed me, that I thought, well, you're just good in any discipline of orienteering, where I thought usually, well, you would focus on the short or the longer courses. But well, I can easily imagine how you train your fitness, but how do you train navigation skills?
Yeah, normally we train navigation skills, of course. It's map training. And what we do to train our navigation is we can somehow influence what do we have on the map. Because on a normal map, you have every object on it. You have the streets, you have counter lines and everything. So if you want to train a specific technique, so we just say, okay, we delete all forest roads in the forest, so that you just have to rely maybe on your compass and on the counter lines. So with such training modes or training forms, we can really train specific skills. And that's what are we doing in training camp. And at the end, we put all together at the end. So you have, again, the normal map, basically. And then suddenly you think, oh, it's so easy. So there are possibilities with preparation of the map plus training different distances, I would say.
And you said that you come more from the fitness side. Would you say that you prefer the easier courses or the more complicated terrain?
Well, I think normally an orienteer is always saying he likes the complicated terrain, like to be the technical, the most stable runner. I think normally they're also the most interesting terrains if they're complicated. Sometimes if it's getting too easy, then it's what we as orienteer don't like. Like we say, this was like a running competition, just straight on, and it was so easy. So this is like a bit, if you say that about the course or the terrain, it's a bit like blaming the course setter or the terrain. So yeah, a good technical course, this is still, I think, what most, and also I like to master well.
Well, so you can run in the city and you can run in the woods. I imagine the people who set the route before check out the terrain, but probably there might be some unforeseen events sometimes when you run through terrain.
Yeah, of course, this can happen. Normally at the big competitions, it won't happen, but we have also a lot of training where we are basically alone in the forest. And yeah, once we were in Finland, quite close to the Russian border. I was alone in the forest, not thinking nothing specially about it. And yeah, suddenly a bear appeared in front of me.
Wow.
And I think he was as scared as I was. So we both turned around in the other direction, and I was just running through the forest, didn't stop, and suddenly I was completely lost in the forest. And just per incidents, my brother passed by because he was on the same training course, and then he said there, I was so scared standing there in the forest. He said, "What happened?" And I said, "Well, I just saw a bear." And then he looked at me and said, "Okay," and he just continued. And I was standing there, and me and you, and luckily nothing happened. But it was just happening once to me, and I think it's enough. I don't have to meet him again, this bear.
But well, it didn't make you fear unforeseen country, at least.
No, not at all. We also do a lot of night orienteering, for example. So then you're just you and your small headlamp. And I think this is even sometimes a bit more scary if you hear a lot of sounds in the forest, or you see suddenly some eyes when you shine with your lamp. But I still like it. Normally, nothing happens. So no, I'm not afraid of it.
Do you also have night competitions? Like I think they sometimes have this in Formula One or in skiing for a few years now.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it's also a discipline. It's not an international discipline, but like on national level, we have night competitions, as well as the biggest relays in orienteering. These are like mass events, also public events. In Finland, it's called Jukola. It's really a traditional event where everybody is taking place. This is going over the night. So these relays, they start in the evening at 10 o'clock and goes whole night. And in the morning, it's the finish. So it's really popular, especially in Scandinavia, night orienteering, because half the year it's dark and they have to practice night orienteering.
We already talked about training. So, of course, the past year has been very special for everyone and for athletes as well. So I guess there has been more or less no competitions in the past 12 months or 13 months. And how did it influence your training?
Well, how should I say, in the beginning, I think I was still quite motivated, and probably as many athletes, I still hope that some competition will take place. So about until March, April, I was still just keep on training and hoping that some competition will happen. But then when basically all our international events got cancelled, I just focused a bit on different things, because I realized I had a great shape, but I couldn't use it. So there, I got some new project. One was the 50K world record attempt on the treadmill. And then I also made my marathon debut, but it was on a mountain marathon in Davos. So I just found some other possibilities to try to get some competition feeling.
You just mentioned your world record. This was pretty much 1 year ago. And let's have a look at the video of this world record. So how did you get the idea for running 50K on a treadmill?
Yeah, I have to admit that it was not my idea. I was with a friend in the training camp in March, and he realized, and also I knew it, that I was in really good shape. And when then every competition got cancelled, he came up with this idea. He knew that this Florian Neuschwander, he broke this 50K world record just some weeks ago. So he had that in mind, and then he thought, this world record, it's a 3:30 pace over 50K. It's possible for me. It's not a super world record. Still, you have to be a really good runner. And then I thought, this could be a nice challenge. And anyway, as we knew, everything got cancelled. So we said, okay, let's give it a try. And this was 3 weeks before we did it. So it was really basically a spontaneous idea. And we just did it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And Well, unfortunately for you, some others also wanted to go for this world record. I think it has improved since you set the world record, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
So many people tried this. The first thing when I saw this video was, I thought, where are you? It looks like an attic of, I don't know, it's a very large building. Where did you go for doing this world record?
Yeah, we went to Olten, and this is really in the rooftop of an old building. Where we did this record. At the end, it was a bit the problem because that day, 1 year ago, it was quite hot. So we see all windows were open, and I had to ventilation to get a bit cool. But yeah, we saw the picture looks really nice, and yeah, it was quite close. Where this production company is working, so they had the connection to that building. So, but yeah, I think it looks quite cool.
It looks quite cool. And for everyone who is interested, the video is, of course, still on YouTube. And you can also see an assistant with a ventilator from time to time. But you can also watch a couple of interviews that are very interesting, and they talk in great detail about your training schedules and a lot of other interesting things. And I wanted, how much do you train at all? How many hours a day or a week do you train usually? Like now in Corona times or maybe in non-Corona times?
Yeah, usually to explain it, it's quite simple. I would say I train 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon. But yeah, so it makes up around to, I would say, 15 hours of training a week. Also endurance training. So I try to run around 10 hours, I would say, do 3 to 4 hours strength training. And then one training is basically alternative training. Like in winter, it's quite much skiing from time to time. And in summer, it's road biking. So yeah, a mix. And of course, it varies, this 10 hours running with orienteering or just basic endurance running.
Well, that leaves also time for other stuff. And I think you go to university, study at university. Is that correct?
Yeah, not anymore. Yes, I studied some years ago. I made a master in ecology, and now I'm working besides as for 40% for the Swiss Railway Federation in the sustainability team. I have there a job, and yeah, for me it's a really good combination, doing sports on the highest level but still have the possibility to have some work and some distraction from sports.
On your website I found that you have several sponsors, but of course orienteering is not a global big sport. Is it possible to make a living only with orienteering, or is it just too small a sport?
No, I would say for me it's possible. Thanks to my sponsors. So, but it's really connected. I would say to be successful as well. So, I see many of my team colleagues from the national team. It's not easy to get sponsors. Also in Switzerland. Just for the real top runners, it's possible to make a living. Of course, you won't get rich, but it depends how you see it. If you see you can do what you love and you can make the living out of it, I see it from that side, and then I think it's super nice. You don't have to look to different sports where they earn more. I'm happy how it is for me. So,
coming back to this special times, I think it's slowly getting back to normal also in the sports world. So I think in orienteering, you have the European Championships coming up in May. So do you see this as on the way back to normal, to a regular season, or are we still far away from that?
No, this is really the big hope now. It's a European Champ scheduled in May, and it's even on home ground in Switzerland. So yeah, this is the big competition which we are waiting now for 1.5 years, I would say. And yeah, I really hope this is it should take place, and this is really a big goal. Of course, it's really special because it's 1 year without any competition, without any comparison with all other national teams. So it will be special to see them once again, and you don't really know where you are exactly with your shape, but I think the joy to have competition, this will be greater than ever before.
Well, of course, in about 2 or 3 months, there should have been the next edition of the World Games. It's postponed to 2022. Looking forward, are you planning to go to Birmingham, Alabama next year to the next World Games?
Yeah, normally, I would love to go. As I said, these last 2 editions which I took part, I really had much fun. But of course, the selection still is quite tough. There are just normally 2 men allowed, and in the Swiss team, in Orienteering, we have quite a strong team. So it's always quite a tough fight to get these places. Even though if I have now won this 6th medal, it's no guarantee that I could be on the start line next year. But if it's going to take place and I can select, I think, I would really look much forward to this competition.
I think this was a good final word. So thank you very much for the interview, Matthias.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. And we all hope that the sports world and orienteering will go back to normal soon. And maybe we will also see Matthias next year in Birmingham at the World Games 22 in Alabama. Thanks for watching, and we will be back with a new episode soon.